Hi everyone, this is Steve S. from OpenBOM. We're going to start just a moment. See if you people are still joining. Yes. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Steve S. I'm the Director of User Experience at OpenBOM. Let me make sure. Great, if anyone, if you can hear me, maybe please, maybe type a little something in the chat box, be great. We're going to go ahead and get started. The topic today is creating a multi-level BOM in OpenBOM. This webinar is the 23rd in our series and is intended to be kind of low polish, more instructional. And so I'll keep an eye on questions and things in the chat and try to deal with those if they come up during the webinar. So any questions that you pose during the webinar that don't get answered, I'll be sure to answer those in the follow-up. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right in. So here's some webinar basics. Everyone should be muted. You have a chat box. I think it's a little question mark there on the right side of your go-to webinar panel. Just go ahead and click that. Key a question or comment in there. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and publish the webinar as well as the slide deck after the presentation. And my goal today is to get us out of here in 30 minutes or less, hopefully closer to 20 minutes. So let's just try to stay on topic. The topic for today is multi-level bills of material. Let's just talk about what a multi-level bill of material is real quick. It is a BOM that's kind of organized into levels. We may have called them, let me adjust my volume. We may have called them indented bills of material in the past. Some people may call them structured. We refer to them here as multi-level. So most often, the multi-level bill of material will be built around product structure, but you can also use them to produce BOMs that fit your maybe your manufacturing process flow or something. We're going to focus on product structure here. A single level bill of material, very simply, doesn't have any structure to it, and catalog is our standard OpenBOM catalog definition there. Okay, so what does a well-organized multi-level bill of material look like? In the OpenBOM UI, you're going to see an indicator that you're in multi-level. So that'll be up here. This is a selector. We'll deal with that a little bit more. You'll see some other UI elements that have to do with how you navigate around and how you move things within on the screen. As you move things up, down, left, and right, and below, you'll see that structure change on the screen. We are going to do we're going to organize a single level BOM or two into a multi-level BOM, and we'll be using those commands. Also, I want to point out here that that in this example that I've got, I've added 2.2 as a placeholder to organize other parts underneath it. So I've created a sub-level just on the fly in OpenBOM and moved some of those other parts underneath it. We're going to do more of that, in detail. But this is sort of what you should expect to see when you're working with multi-level bill of material. Okay, let's go through some quick multi-level BOM basics. A multi-level BOM is created by connecting a series of single-level BOMs together. That's very important, and that is what we're going to spend the first portion of our webinar on, is really getting a handle on how we construct a multi-level BOM from a series of individual single-level BOMs. So in the image that I have down here on the right, I've got a bike and some handlebars, and it's got a seat, and it has a frame assembly. The frame assembly is what we thought of as another BOM that will be visible in OpenBOM, and up below that frame assembly, we'll be linking in a couple of other assemblies for a wheel and the subframe. So just as pictorially speaking, handlebars and seat are individual parts. Frame in this case is it's another BOM, which will be rendered as a subassembly of multi-level BOM. So we'll get into some more of that. Multi-level BOMs can be created in a number of different ways in OpenBOM. We can organize a single level BOM into multi-level, and that's we're going to do that in one of our lessons. We're also going to import a multi-level BOM from Excel. We'll take a look at what that structure looks like and how we bring that into OpenBOM. This is a great way to bring any existing legacy BOMs that you have right into OpenBOM. And then finally, we can something that's going to be beyond the scope of this webinar today. We could bring in an entire multi-level structure right from one of our CAD integrations, SolidWorks or Onshape or Venture or something, where you designed all of that product structure in the CAD, and you're just taking that product structure, moving it into OpenBOM. Plenty of videos on doing that based on whatever your particular CAD system is. So many OpenBOM functions are available in the multi-level structure. And as a matter of fact, some of them have some specific behaviors that we're going to look at today. Add property, the formula, and assigning catalogs are all operations in OpenBOM that have a multi-level component to it. We'll dive into that a little bit more, but for example, when I add a property or a formula, I have the choice of applying it to just the level that I'm at, or perhaps all the sub-levels as well. And when I assign a catalog, that behavior is automatically, that assignment's all automatically added to the sub-levels. So some other behaviors of multi-level that we're most often interested in are roll-ups and totals. So in this, we might calculate the cost. I'm going to roll it up. Again, we're not going to dive deeply into that. There's some great videos and webinars from the last two webinars, and I'll provide the links at the end here. That'll take you right to the details on how to do those roll-ups and totals. And then we're going to look at kind of some restructuring commands. We spoke about that briefly. Another aspect of multi-level that is often important is the ability to flatten a multi-level BOM. Now, flatten is not the same as single level. We're going to point that out a little bit. But flatten takes all the structure out of a multi-level BOM, and it just shows you the bits and pieces as well as the quantities. And it's often maybe called a quantity report, flatten report. And then finally, if we are hooking together all these multi-level bills of material, it's important to note that the description property in the top level and the description property in the sub level will be lined up on the grid, and it's also important that we think about using the minimal set of properties that we need so that we can have that organization to. In other words, if we're using a description at the top level, let's use description in the sub level bills of material as well, and not a title or something else. So again, I'll try to put that out. Okay, here's a little deeper view of some of the controls that apply to multi-level. We sometimes refer to this as the switcher. Up here on the left, this will have multi-level, single level, and flatten, and that will indicate how we render the BOM in the grid. Some of the other controls here are actually pretty obvious, but we're going to use these in our lessons. But we're going to be moving some items up and down in the structure. The left-right arrows will restructure, will move items, sort of left and right in the indented structure, and we'll see what that looks like. And then finally, this single command here on the right will just allow us to ad hoc add a new item below an existing, and that will give us a new line we can start typing. Also, a couple of commands on the right mouse button that you'll find important, especially as your structure starts to get larger. Is the add item above and below. The add item button that's up here on the ribbon bar always adds an item in row number 1. And sometimes that's inconvenient if we're down in the structural way. So keep in mind that this right mouse button has some features on it that you might be interested in. Just a second to check that. Okay, great. Okay. All right, so here's some of the lessons that we'll be covering. We're going to create a very simple multi-level BOM. It's going to be very academic. No flash, no images, just very simple structure. We're going to add some properties to the top level and see how it behaves. We're going to investigate a little bit more about what flatten does. We will create a little more advanced multi-level bill of material using the demo skateboard catalog that's in every one of your accounts. And then finally, we're going to do an import from a multi-level switch. Okay, keep in mind that this deck will be shared with you, so you'll be able to follow along. If you're listening right now and you want to just open up an OpenBOM session on another screen or something, you might be able to follow along here. You might find this. So, yeah, I'm going to jump out of presentation mode and just get over to our OpenBOM. Okay. So we're gonna go through the slide. You're going to see everything that I'm doing. So I am going to create a new bill of material. Multilevel session 23. And I'm going to take care to visit this advanced tab down here, remove any catalog settings for now. You'll see me doing that because I want to create a very simple bill of material with no references. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to add a few items. I'm going to use the add item button a couple of times here and add a couple of items to this bottom. I'm going to just start, basically making up part numbers here for the purpose of our demonstration. I just added a couple of items to our bill of material. And if we were to now take a look at the OpenBOM dashboard, I'm going to be kind of returning back and forth. We'll see that we have a bill of material was just created, ML 23-1. Okay, so that's what we're working in right now. And I could go through and of course, pull some of this other information out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. And okay, so you can build this out as your bill of material. So this is a single level bill of material. Okay, so my goal here is to create a multi-level structure where the part number 103 is essentially living under part number 102. How do I do that? Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to multi-level so that I'll hit that multi-level UI. That's this right up here. My bill of material still looks the same, but I'm in the multi-level mode. I've got some multi-level commands available to me. I'm going to highlight 103. Maybe this is a bearing that belongs to a shaft or something that's 102. And I'm going to use this command right here, move item below item above. And I click that, I immediately start to see some structure coming. I can now see that it looks like 102 is now sort of starting to behave like a subassembly that has 103 contained in it. Okay, so what happened? What did OpenBOM do? We said that multi-level BOMs are an assembly of single level BOMs. So when you moved that item down below 102, you created a bill of material here. Let's take a look. How is OpenBOM thinking about this? OpenBOM is thinking about this as 102 contains the single part of 103. Let's go back to our top level BOM tab. We see that makes sense. 102 contains 103. On our dashboard, we see that we've created a 102 bill of material, and if we open it, we'll see that our 102 bill of material contains 103. Let's say that item now costs $3. Keep in mind, I'm in this separate 102 BOM. I'm making a change to cost. What happened over here? Cost shows up. Okay, so we can see that there's a relationship between the top level bill of material, the multi-level structure, and every item in my multi-level structure that has sub-levels is going to be treated like a bill, like 102. 102 has an item, has its items in there. I can make changes here, and of course it'll be reflected in my multi-level BOM. Okay, so that is very important, and I want to kind of come back to the statement that in OpenBOM, a multi-level BOM is a collection of single-level BOMs which are linked together. So here's our multi-level BOM. It has its own parts, 101, 104, but it has a sub-BOM as 102, which contains its own parts here. So I'd like you to maybe watch or rewatch the session just a little bit and go through and do that, on your own. In the interest of time, I'm not going to do another one quite that simple. But the point is here is that 102 is now its own bill of material. Okay, and we can see that reflected here. All right, let's kind of move up a little bit. Advance this a little bit more. 23-2. I'm going to do the same thing to take care of remove that catalog. Okay, so I'm sitting again in a brand new bill of material, which I just created. So let's look at our dashboard now. And so here's the case. So the case we just, in the example we just did, we created a BOM and we created some sub-BOMs on the fly using the navigation. So here's a case where a couple of bills of material already exist. I've got A200, A300. These could be, sub-components or sub-levels that one of my colleagues or that I've already created. And now I'm going to create the top level BOM. Maybe this is my product that's starting to come together. So here we are, and I'm going to say, hey, look, I think that I've got something called A100. Throw that in here, and I'm going to throw in the A200. Now, OpenBOM goes out and looks, hey, does A100 exist? Does A200 exist somewhere in the system as a BOM already? If it does, we're going to bring them in. So you can see I didn't, this was already, A200 was already produced. It was out on the storage somewhere. Likewise with A100. All I did was create a new bill of material and bring those in. I could create as many other bills of materials as I want, and I could reuse it. Certainly I can make changes, right in here. And I'm working in that entire structure, kind of in a grid at once. Obviously, individually, I can make changes to either one of the sub levels. Perhaps you have a colleague that's working on just a sub component that, and he or she is refining costs and quantity, and maybe the quantities in here are changing on these, and you'll see that reflecting in your top level material. So again, keep in mind that OpenBOM is linking together A200, A100, and if finding a BOM, bring that BOM. And I'd like to encourage you to do that exercise as well. Just minding all the time, of course, that when I'm sitting in single level, I won't see those. I won't see that UI, and I won't see that structure. Okay, so I'm sitting here in a multi-level structure. This is the kind of thing my product is starting to come together. This might be a good time. There's another webinar on this, but this would be a great time to add my extended costs. I'd like to point out right here that when using the formula, I'm going to be computing some extended costs. I really want this to apply to all levels in my BOM, and eventually I'm going to be rolling that up. This is a place where we want to make sure that we mind what we're doing with formulas if we're working multi-level. Do that. And there's a webinar on that. I'll provide that as well. We're getting some errors on these calculations here because there's no quantities here. So we've got 2 of those and maybe 3 of those. We start to see that our BOM starts to build out. Good time to maybe add a total. row, start to total cost of our BOM. So we can see that just by creating a new BOM, just bringing in 2 existing BOMs, OpenBOM will automatically knit them together, bring in costs and things, and I can define my extended cost up at the top level. Another example of something I'd like to show is if I was going to add a property, and I'm working in multi-level. Let's say I'm going to add a bid location. There's an option here that says add to all subassemblies. This is saying, look, I want to push that property that I'm adding down through all those sub-level BOMs. And maybe change up that this is in bin location 23-1. When I visit when I start working with some of these other sub-level application push out. So be mindful of the settings when adding properties, and when doing formula calculations, be mindful of the setting to say I'm working a multi-level just to push down all my levels. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard, and I'd like to, we're going to create a little skateboard demo. This will have a little more information in it. Start with like maybe a real BOM. We're going to call this a multi-level skateboard design. And in this one, we are going to choose a catalog. We're going to choose our skateboard demo catalog. All of your accounts should have that, will have that catalog available. If they do not, you can visit the help page, the help menu up here, and say add demo data now. Okay, so I happen to know that catalog, that demo data has skateboard information. There's a number of things I can do. By virtue of the fact that that catalog is assigned here, I can start choosing items to add. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go through, we're going to add a variety of different things here. Keep you some typing right here. Wheel. And finally, my example here, I'll add truck. Okay. So this is kind of interesting. We should have some of the parts of my skateboard. So in my manufacturing of my skateboard, I kind of want to follow a process of first assembling some truck assemblies and then assembling some boards. So I think about, well, what are some of the quantities I'm going to include? I need to be a little thoughtful of this because some of these parts may end up in in sub-assemblies. Most common thing is here, I've got a truck, I've got a heavy duty wheel, I've got maybe a seal, and I want these to be organized. I want these parts right here to be organized as sub-assembly. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to use something that exists in my catalog already, is a truck assembly. And I'm going to bring that into my catalog, and then I'm going into my BOM, and I'm going to start organizing the rest of my pieces. So what am I going to do? Let's first of all, we know we need to be in multi-level to really do any kind of meaningful organization. Let's go ahead and move this down. And if we take a look at our dashboard here, we don't see anything here called truck assembly yet. And the reason for that is because it doesn't exist as an assembly in the structure. Let's go ahead and move this in. We're going to put that truck under there. That truck under there. We're going to go ahead and put this wheel under there. And we're going to put this seal under there. So this is now starting to look like a truck assembly. Okay, so in this context, I know that my skateboard has 4, but I'm building a sub-assembly here. So each one of those has 2, and that has 1. And I can start putting some other quantities in here. My skateboard's gonna have 2 of those truck assemblies. I'm gonna have 8 of these screws and put them over here. We're going to have 1 boards. Okay. So my BOM is starting to be built out with information from my catalog. There's a great webinar on how catalogs are used, but this would be once you establish your catalog, you're building it out. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Let's go ahead and apply that formula here. That my extended cost is going to be cost times my quantity. And I'm working in multi-level. I'm going to go ahead and roll that up. Okay. Now I start seeing, okay, so if I was sitting here at 1, I'd have a cost of $13, but I know that I've got 2 of those. So what OpenBOM is doing is using this multi-level structure to roll up the cost of 1 truck and then multiplying it by 2 and giving you the line item. You might be able to see that a little more interesting. And of course, again, we can turn on totals and start to see the cost of our skateboard. Okay, so let's think about this now. I've got a list, and maybe I've got more structure, and it starts to get a little complicated. There is, let's take a look at what this looks like in flat. Flat's something we haven't taken a look at. So keep in mind right now, we're looking at this in the context of structure. We're seeing in this assembly, for example, there's 2 wheels in that assembly. I really want to know what are the quantities to build 1 entire skateboard. Let's take a look at it in flat. Okay, you see that, wow, actually it looks like it takes 4. Flatten abstracts out, removes out all of that business about structure. So I can see I need 2 truck assemblies. I'm going to need 2 trucks. I'm going to need 4 wheels. I'm going to need 4 seals. So this kind of starts to become more of a kind of a pick list or a punch list of what you need to build a product. Flatten is very powerful, and I'll just point out that flatten is something. So, okay. So finally, I want to jump back and do one more thing because I'm looking at the time here. 27 minutes in. Let's import a bill of material. I'm going to bring this in from Google Sheets. This is something that I've already prepared. Perhaps this is a spreadsheet that my company already has with a bill of material. And just that simply, this multi-level. I brought in a bill of material, I just imported this. None of these items exist in OpenBOM yet. I just imported this straight from a Google sheet. And I know I am really running low on time here, but I'd like to let me show you what that Google sheet looks like real quick. Here's this Google sheet, and what I've done is I've added a column here called level, and level translates into what level it becomes in OpenBOM. So I'm saying, look, in OpenBOM, you're going to build a subassembly called W300, and you're going to put these 2 items in. So let's see if that happened. Let's say I did. We brought in that spreadsheet, and we built this structure. So, and keep in mind that all this information came in. So this is a great way, and this works with Excel as well. It's a great way to bring in some multi-level structured bill of material that you might own. Okay, I want to jump back to our presentation real quick, and I'm just going to take, I'm going to go ahead and take questions in the chat channel. I'll answer them in the follow-up. So for now, I want to cover just a few things that come up sometimes when troubleshooting. The first thing, am I in multi-level mode? We don't want to make sure we are. There's always the case, now that you understand how BOMs are linked together, there's always a chance that maybe you've deleted some part from the dashboard that is important to that multi-level structure. So be sure that you mind that. And as we said, pay attention to the add to sublevels for property and formulas. Sometimes you might run into something that you try to recreate the bill of material and you're using a name that's currently listing in your trash, currently stored in your trash. You created a BOM called 123 and then deleted it. You try to create another one called 123. You'll get a message that says BOM exists in trash. So empty the trash out every now and then when the time is right. And finally, something I want to point out here is that now we're starting to build multi-level BOMs. You're going to run into this opportunity of creating a logical circular reference. We refer to it as the BOM. And that looks like this over here. I've got subassembly 1, which calls subassembly 2, which calls subassembly. So I think we agree that that makes no sense. It is possible to do it, especially if you're importing in from Excel. So be careful, mindful of the data on import. If you see a message about a circular reference discovered, return to the dashboard. Easiest thing to do is delete that BOM that's being referred to with the circular reference, or edit it and remove the circular reference. Excuse me. And finally, I was point out a few things that if you're working in a structured BOM, oftentimes, for example, if I wanted to create a sublevel for 104, I'll find it. It's usually easier to insert an item above, and I'm going to call this my 104 subassembly, and then move this down. Sometimes just from a product structure standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to turn something that was listed as a part into an assembly, especially for if it's for purposes of only for assembling your product. So, okay, we discussed troubleshooting, and finally, just references. Again, we're going to share this out. There's some more information about multi-levels, BOMs, and reporting. There is a new page in our help for webinars. If you take a look at webinars 21-22, you'll see a lot of information on catalogs, templates, and formulas, and roll-ups and things. Might be helpful. A couple of good places to start understanding OpenBOM, and then just the top level for our helpers as well. So I want to thank you all for attending. It was my pleasure. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And you can send any questions to support@openbom.com. Have a great day.